been with Rotary for almost 15 years. It's a long time to be with any organization, really. And I've grown my career at Rotary, and spending times with our members continues to be my favorite part of my job. So this kind of opportunity really motivates me to do well in my position and to do well for Rotary. And it really, it's really good examples for me to see kind of like what our hard work is all about, is these opportunities to work with you. So as Alex mentioned, some of you may be familiar with me because my third position, I think, at Rotary was your annual giving officer. I worked specifically with zones 33 and 34. At that time, I was still going by my maiden name, Liz Lazar, so maybe that might ring a bell. So the unique thing I think about my role is that I've worked at several positions in the Rotary Foundation and several positions over on the RI side of things. And when Rotary created this role as brand specialist about 3.5 years ago now, I was kind of identified as being really good for this position because I have worked in so many different facets of the organization. Because really this role brings in colleagues from legal, colleagues from communications, programs, member support. I mean, it's really, it has its hand in everything. And you already know this, I think, working in public image, that it is just not a straight line. Public image is so many different things. We can talk about collaborations with, membership, with foundation, and how all that overlaps as well too. So that is I guess, my spiel, my little intro. And with that, I'm going to start sharing my screen. I have a presentation for us. Then I'll show you a live demo of the Brand Center. And then from there, we can take some Q&A. Okay. So this presentation, One Voice, Every Club, really hits home that message that when every single club is using the same voice, our message and our impact as Rotary is only stronger. And that we're going to lay the foundation of that with our logos. So why am I not advancing? There we go. All right, great. So I'm going to start really with some basics, some 101 here, because sometimes I found that folks never really got the basics in the work that they've been doing. Rotary International already has a pretty sophisticated brand architecture. We have two major logos. We have our Rotary Master Brand Signature and the Master Brand Signature Simplified. You're going to see everything coming out of the Rotary headquarters using the Simplified. But as members, you have the choice to use either the traditional or the Simplified. It's just a personal taste. And then we have a secondary logo, and this is our mark of excellence. That's just the Rotary wheel. This really should only be used in conjunction with the Master Brand Signature. So if you're branding something, first of all, it's a good idea to put your club logo on these things, but you wouldn't want to lead with the mark of excellence. That's not our lead logo. Now, there are some exceptions with like road signs and things like that where we're still using that mark of excellence, but that's a bit of background about how to use these three logos together. And you'll notice that there is not a version of the mark of excellence in a simplified form. That's not an official logo. And if you're seeing it out there, just mention to your peers that they shouldn't be using that because we don't offer it and it's not an official trademarked logo of Rotary. So this is where the bread and butter lies. And this, I feel like this is the most important slide probably in my entire presentation, because what I was showing you on the previous slides are the logos of Rotary International, whereas these are the logos of the clubs and the districts. These are your official logos. The previous page really is RI's official logos. So if you're doing a project, you're going to want to put your club logo on there, your district logo on there, not RI's logo, because that's not RI's project, right? So like I said, I'm going to show you in Brand Center a little bit how to actually create these logos. There's a templating format in there. Some of you may know that already, like the back of your hand. Take that opportunity. You'll notice with these logos, the club name is always aligned over with the Rotary logo. It's not over to the right. It's aligned, left aligned with the Rotary logo. And depending on how the club name is said, you can put content or the text above the word Rotary and below. So Sunrise Kampala Rotary Club, because that's how they say the name of the Rotary Club. Anytime you're going to use a district or a zone, it should be below the logo. So why is it important? Why does all of this matter? 3 main reasons why is that we are protecting Rotary's name and intellectual property. The cool thing about Rotary is that in the sense of our logos and our trademarks, we look at it, they're just as strong as any corporations, right? And they need to be protected as such and used as such. But we have 1.4 million folks that have access to it. And so we need to, I think, in our roles, be good stewards of that philosophy and of that knowledge that even though we are members of Rotary, we are held to these standards of using those logos as protected trademarks. And then we developed this system for the clubs and the districts to use, the signature system, where they're adding their names and creating their own logos. And I think that's so great because they're able to leverage that Rotary logo and show their own identity. They're able to then take credit for the work that's done locally and not just throw Rotary's logo on there. And again, when we're all doing this the same way, we're all telling Rotary's story in a consistent way. So let's keep these principles in mind then as we go forward. I already covered this, that we're going to always add the identifier to the logo. You'll see here that I have an example of a Rotaract club and Interact clubs. They follow the same process as the Rotary clubs do. That's also for like satellite clubs and e-clubs as well too. We should never ever obscure the Rotary wheel, use a partial wheel, manipulate it in any way, use it as an object like a bicycle tire, as the number 0. While we as members I think there's this culture within Rotary that we think that this is a creative thing to do with our logo. People outside of Rotary have no idea what this is and what's going on. And we're only working to weaken our logo really when we manipulate our logo like this. The same is said for adding graphics to the logo. So don't make any additions to show your local flair or your identity. You can absolutely create graphics that have that local identity and use that elsewhere, but not combined right inside of your club logo. And then we're always going to want to make sure too that we've retired that logo that was retired in 2013. We went through the rebranding efforts at that time. And these are just one of many, many, many different Rotary logos that Rotary has used over its past 100+ years. So it's time to move away from that old logo. So here's examples of what folks do when we embellish and we take opportunities to be creative with our logos. So this is really loud. There's a lot of noise going on here. We're not quite sure if these are all one thing or are these different things. What is this? What is this organization trying to say, right? It's clouded and it's confusing, especially for those that don't know us. But here's examples then of all of that cleaned up and aligned with the correct branding. And further, this then, the lockup system is how you would show your partnerships with your local events that are happening or fundraisers that you're hosting. or collaborations that are happening. And then the last two, there are examples of official Rotary entities, action groups and fellowships. You'll see that they are able, because they are RI entities, they're able to use just the Rotary master brand locked up with their unique logo. If you do have a question about action groups and fellowships, I can direct you to the right colleagues, but we have been working with them pretty closely to make sure that they've all updated their branding as well too. And then I just want to touch on licensing. So I think that if I'm not wrong, I'm going to make an assumption about how things are done, right? So let's say you're getting ready to host an event and somebody's in charge of not billboards, but banners, handouts, and maybe they're going to get some tchotchkes made for the event, and maybe everybody's going to, get a brand new t-shirt for the event or a hat. I think that what usually happens is that folks go to Google Rotary logos and they find something that they think looks really cool, and they take that thing and they go to a vendor that they work with and they get XYZ made. And I think that's when you go to Google and you Google Rotary logos, you're going to see a lot of of stuff that's not compliant, we would say, right? Things that don't follow the guidelines. And I understand that process. I think a lot of folks see Google as their friend, but when it comes to our brand, the brand center is our friend. It's not going to be Google. And that then, to take it one step further, anything that ever gets produced, especially merchandise with our logo on it, should be done either with an RI approved licensed vendor, or the vendor that you're working with just seeks a one-time free approval from our licensing group. And I can send along the link for that so that you always have that handy. It's a pretty seamless process, but what happens then during that is that our licensing group would look at mock-ups of what the vendor wants to create, just to ensure that everything's on brand and that everything looks good, and that you're not spending hundreds of dollars on shirts that still have the old Rotary wheel on them, right? So that's some information about licensing, and I've kind of discovered that folks probably aren't too aware of that process, but we are trying to make it easy for you every day. So again, I can share that link and resources for you. I've mentioned already the Brand Center a few times. I'll get into the Brand Center a little bit and some news we have about it. We also have Your Logos at a Glance, which is a PDF document that lives in the Brand Center. This is going to be something that you hand out and share and disperse with your clubs. And even if you're at like a booth and you're hosting, Rotary PR event or something like that, for a training seminar, those would be your handout. That's what you're going to want to hand out. A lot of what I've discussed here today has its roots in the Rotary Code of Policies. It's all Article 34 in the Code of Policies. Some people get into reading code, so that's where some of that lies. And then I really, really, really encourage all of you, if you haven't done so already, to take the 5 courses that are brand related in the Learning Center, and ensure that your club public image chairs are taking those courses as well too. Even though there's 5 of them, I would say each one lasts probably no more than 5 minutes. They're succinct, they're to the point, and they give you the information that you'll need to be successful in your roles and your club public image chairs as well too. Of course, your RPICs who are here hosting this call, they are also your resources, your assistant RPICs as well too. And then you can reach me for more questions you may have at brand@rotary.org. So I've already taken the step to log from rotary.org into my Rotary account and navigated to Brand Center. Spoiler alert, in the future, we're going to launch a brand new Brand Center that's going to be easier to navigate and use. And we really hope to take away the barrier of having to log in through My Rotary. This will let us deep link to assets and to resources that are in the brand center, instead of just saying go to the brand center and try to find it, right? So hopefully that is coming soon, and you'll be seeing that soon. So that's just a side note. So I've already logged in, and now I'm going to navigate over to logos. So I'm going to just show you how to create a club logo and a Lockup logo. And about 2 months ago, we stepped into a new templating provider, a new templating platform. So this is a bit different layout than what you were seeing before. So this chili editor is running in the background. And you'll start here at the top. You have your drop downs. You can choose again what we talked about with the simplified or the regular. I like that we added recommended under the full color option here, because it truly is recommended. The other options are just to use if you have to, right? Like if you are on a bright color background and you need white, that's the appropriate time to use it. It's not really like, oh, you have all these different options depending on which way the wind blows that day, right? So we always are going to keep recommending the full color options. The alignment, this is what I was talking about, where you can put content, the names above the Rotary logo and below. So below is what you see right now. In some areas of the world, the way that they read their Rotary clubs are all above. So that's why we have above, but you'll also probably use above and below, because we have usually club that sits below the word Rotary. And then you enter your club name. Club names that are very long can be broken down into several lines if needed. Oh, sorry, I'm going to go just below. So you'll see, you can fill all that up with text there. I don't think we have 4 lines. No, just 3 lines of text. And then you'll go to download file. If you wanted to now, let's say, try to skirt the system and not, oh, is that going to let me do it? Oh, that's interesting. I think what I was trying to say is, oh no, that's in the lockup. Never mind. We're okay. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, so here, download file then. I'm sorry, I'm going to add a club name just so that we're all clear about what I'm trying to do here. All right. So then we go to download file, and you have these 3 file options to download: PDF, JPEG, PNG. We have some description there, short description of what each of those file types are generally used for. There's been a lot of chatter lately about folks needing vector files. A vector file can be created from a PDF. Now, this is not really my strength, but what I am gathering is you would pass whomever needs the vector file, you pass them the PDF, and they open Illustrator. They open the PDF in Illustrator and are able to create a vector file from the PDF. So if that is blocking anybody up, that is how you create vector files. And so then from there, you would hit PDF and it would download into your computer. I'm going to show you a quick example of what the lockups look like. You'll see here that I skip over the Interact and Rotaract. Here's the lockups. And again, lockups should be used when you are partnering with a local, a partner on a project, an event, or a sponsor. It is, so essentially what I'm trying to say is it's not meant to be used to add a fun theme or a catchphrase or the outline of your state. You know, it's not meant to be used to show additional flair. It's really only meant to be used to show the lockup between two organizations coming together to do something. So we're going to find basically those same drop downs like I showed you before. Under add text or logo, here's where things get kind of cool. You can choose a secondary Rotary logo, and we have logos already added here, the People of Action logo and Polio Now logo. So those are already added in for you to choose if you are doing something People of Action or End Polio Now related. And then this upload partner logo would be if you have the file of your partner and they would rather have their logo shown than the text of their name, then you can upload their logo there. And then this, of course, would be the text if you wanted to do that, you know. Something like that. Okay, I think, and then of course you're going to want to add your club name or your district name below. And then we go through the same steps as we did before. We're in a transition period. So for those of you that are in the brand center a lot, you'll notice that we of course updated the templates, and then we updated some of the navigation and layout of the brand center. What we're trying to do is get our users ready for this new brand center that's coming. And in that new brand center, you're going to see the content that you're searching on the page. We're getting away from having a PDF guideline for every different branding type that's out there, right? We had the voice and visual identity guide. We had a guide for young leaders. We had a social media guide, an event guide, and on and on and on and on. Because we had so many, and they're of course in all of our Rotary languages, it took decades for us to ever update any content in those guides. And so we're, you know, you're looking at guides that are potentially a few years out of date when our eyes saying over here, you know, that no longer applies, right? So that's some of the reasoning behind the loss, I suppose you would say, of some of those PDFs. But the benefit is that that content that will now be on the page. And when we get to that place where we're able to direct link to the page, that's going to help you a lot as you share, you know, if you're getting questions, well, tell me where those guidelines are for the colors, for Rotary's colors, right? You'll be able to just share the link at the top of the page to the page that we're showing all the colors. That's my spiel. And actually, if you want to take questions now, we can start that, and then maybe I'll show the brand center in a little bit too.
Sure, Liz, that sounds great. So if you have questions, do me a favor and raise your hand, and Jenny, just join in, jump in right there, go for it.
Hi, Liz. We were just discussing at our board meeting this week doing recyclable shopping bags with the logo on it. And from what I understand, it looks correct. But so if we do that, like if we order 250, we need to have those licensed. If we're not using like Russell Hampton or. Yep,
exactly. Okay. You don't need them licensed, but your vendor just needs to receive a one-time approval for it. So it's not like that vendor needs to be licensed by RI. That's a whole different process. It's just a one-time approval. And you know what? I'm going to actually just stick that in the link in the chat right now, and then we'll also distribute that through email.
Thank you so much.
Sure, that's a great question. Very practical question. That's exactly what I was the exact
And
situation
timely.
I was trying to talk about, right? So there's the link then. And again, this is free. Okay, it's not going to cost anyone anything to get that
Thank
one.
you.
Liz, I have a question. I'm being Sharon from District 7710,
Uh-huh.
and also the Barley, the Mid-Atlantic Regional Learning Institute. And I've been told ever since you came out with it about it's the Rotary Club of the city. And I saw some logos where it says like Holly Springs Rotary Club. Is that official now? We
Sure,
were
that's
told
a
at the beginning
really-
it's not official.
Yeah, that's a good question. So our club and district support team helps our members understand the policies around naming clubs. So I'm not a professional in that field. However, for the sake of our logos, what we say is that the name should appear either as you are chartered or as you are known in your community. So if you go by Evanston Lighthouse Rotary, then that's what you can put on there.
Okay,
And
that's
now
very-
I'm just
that's
talking
kind
for
of,
the
that's very broad there. Because we were told at the beginning to just use the Rotary Club of the city.
Well, if that's, is that what you, was that how they say the
Yeah,
name though of the
Yeah, that's
Rotary Club?
how, when they started, changed over to that nomenclature, I was told through the branch of somebody said, no, you must always use Rotary Club of the city and not like my club is Rotary Club of Morrisville, North Carolina,
Okay,
and not Morrisville Rotary Club.
okay.
And so, like I said, that's to me, that's kind of confusing. And
You just use whatever you call your Rotary club name by.
okay, well, that's kind of vague then.
Well,
Well, I thought we were being kind of flexible with that, actually. So,
Yeah,
you know, in many instances, we try to be as clear as we can with our guidelines, but we also try to give flexibility where it happens.
okay.
So,
Well, that's good to know, because sometimes we do get mixed up on it, but so it'd be all right if I want to use Morrisville Rotary Club.
yeah, on your branding, right? We're not talking about the official name of the club, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you
Okay.
can put that at the top, Morrisville Rotary Club. Yep.
Okay. And because I have logos made up of Rotary Club of Morrisville, all of them. And next question I had
Okay.
concerning the Mid-Atlantic Rotary Leadership Institute, we were told 2 years ago when they formed the Mid-Atlantic from Zone 33 that we could not use the RI logo anywhere on our information. Is that still in effect?
So Rotary Leadership Institute received permission from the RI board decades ago to use the word Rotary in its name, but that was not extended to use the Rotary logo.
Okay.
However, the thing, remember how I just showed you those lockup examples? So if you are the Rotary, and then you would put your district number underneath, and this is where it gets weird with RLI because you're not aligned like RI is. But if you're able to put your district numbers underneath your Rotary logo, and then there's the vertical line, and then you can put Rotary Leadership Institute to the right, because
Okay.
that is the project
Okay.
that you're working on, right?
Okay.
But your official logo for RLI is not the Rotary logo. And
Right.
if
Well, I
you've
know
noticed, they did.
because
update it.
we created a new one for
Yep.
the Mid-Atlantic specifically. And do you know Ken
Good.
Dresser?
Mhm.
Ken
Yeah, I remember
he's
him.
he's the one who created our logo for us.
Okay,
Because he told us, he said, well, you can't use any type of logo from Rotary International. So we had to
Right.
kind of go back and create our own.
right. You know, that reminds me of a really good thing I just want to mention quickly to all of you. In your role, I may approach you if there are organizations that are using the Rotary name incorrectly or the logos incorrectly, and I need your help to have conversations with those folks. I just want to let you know that I don't have any right now that, you know, for your area, but sometimes they come to my desk and they can be difficult conversations to have. There's a lot of emotion involved and a lot of just folks that are not aware of the policy, the naming policies. So I just want to let you know that you may be hearing from me again down the road, and I'd appreciate your help.
You cleared up some questions.
Great, thank you.
Liz, Bill Cluntz here in Asheville, North Carolina. Ed really introduced the question I had, and you pretty well answered it, but I'm just curious of the broader implications. I spent a weekend doing Zoom training with the New England Rotarians a couple weeks ago, and I think you might have been one of the presenters, actually. I got to go back and look at my notes here. But one of the things that came out in some of the breakout rooms, a number of the clubs said in trying to engage younger people as members, they found the word club had a lot of baggage. So
Yes.
they had gone to call themselves just Rotary or Rotarian. I'm just curious if you're hearing that in other places as well.
Sure, yeah, we hear that as well too. And again, that's why we allow for some of that flexibility with the branding. But again, really, you know, it's how you are known by. So if you're known by using that word club, I still want to encourage you to continue to do that. So I'm looking in the chat. Do we have PowerPoint templates for Imagine Rotary? No, we don't, but we do have PowerPoint templates for Rotary. Those are in the brand center. Can I just take a second to talk about the theme? Imagine Rotary is something that members are aware of and that should be used for members to motivate each other, right? It's a motivational theme. We're excited about Jen and her year. Outside of Rotary though, nobody knows what Imagine Rotary is. So it's just kind of like another logo. And of course there's a shelf life with it, right? So I just want folks to keep that in mind as they are using the theme logo. For the most part, I would use your club logos or your district logos, unless you're doing something very specific with member only focused, and it's focused really on your upcoming Rotary year. Yeah, thanks, Alex. I just saw your response. That's great.
All right, I sent it about the time you started talking. So
That's awesome. John has his hand up.
Hi, Liz. Do you have this slide deck available for us to use?
Sure, I'll send it over.
Is it? Yeah, if you don't mind, that'd be great. We're doing a presentation Saturday and this could help. I've already stolen a couple of them.
That's awesome. And I have really good notes in there too. I've given this so many times that I just really wing it, but all the notes are in there as well too for you to take a look at.
Thank you much.
Sure.
Liz,
Okay.
would you go back to the mark of excellence for a minute and talk a little bit more about what's the appropriate use of the mark of excellence as opposed to the master brand and the simplified master brand?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm going to share my screen again real quick. Let me get there. All right. So the master brand signature, or, you know, really what I would want to call it, it would be your club logo. That's really what you're going to always want to lead with. You're going to lead with your club logo. So if you're putting a brochure together, if you're putting promotions together for events, it's your leading logo. That's the club logo, right? The club master brand signature, let's call it that. The mark of excellence is a secondary logo. So that can be used, let's say if you're creating a pop-up banner. Now you have your club name on the lower left maybe, and maybe you can put the mark of excellence towards the top. So it should only really appear once the club logo has been used somewhere else. However, there is a very good time and place for the mark of excellence to be used on products and product placement, and especially in small spaces. So maybe like on a golf ball, right? It would be silly to put the mark of, or the master brand on there. It would make more sense on round things, on watch faces. And those really are conversations more that you should be having with the vendors and with our licensing folks. You know, women's earrings, right? Sometimes it's better. So So that wheel makes sense more on product placement than it would being any kind of leading logo. However, on instances like member pins, and I would of course say you should get probably the master brand signature as your member pin, or or there are one-tone member pins. I know that we still sell the old logos. I don't know why, but but anyway, that's a concession we made, I think, with the rebranding, because we don't want anybody to feel like they need to throw out their pins that they received when they became a member prior to 2013. Anyway, the pin, the road sign as you enter a town, and those signs are circular. And we see that a lot in the US. Those are things that we can still retain that mark of excellence on. Oh, and on social media, on Facebook pages, if you have a club Facebook page in your profile picture, you can put the mark of excellence there, as long as the Facebook page lists or includes the name of your Rotary Club. So, Rotary Club of Asheville is the name of the page, then it's okay to put that mark of excellence in the profile picture.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, you bet.
Liz, I was excited to see Jen the other day during the Rotary Global Leadership Institute wearing a master brand instead of a mark of excellence.
That's fantastic.
That's neat.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're seeing that more and more. I think the cool thing about Rotary is the peer influence that happens between members and between clubs. And it's promising. I know sometimes we can kind of feel like we're pulling folks in from the past sometime, those folks are still resistant to kind of step with the times, but we'll get there. That's great.
If I could
Any
just
other
make
questions
a
right
comment.
now?
If I could just make a comment, Alex,
Yes.
I guess it reinforces the reason we're doing this. Actually, we've done it a long time ago, but I went through a major rebranding effort when I was in the Navy, about a Navy command that had 30 different subcommands, all of which had their own brand identity. Couldn't tell that they were associated with a central organization. And what intrigued me when I first got exposed to our brand and rebranding is the importance of the word Rotary there. Because if you only use the master brand, what you're looking at is a wheel that we all understand what it is because we're comfortable with it. But the general public doesn't have an association of that wheel with Rotary. And incorporating the word Rotary was so important, I think, to get that brand identity published. And I think it's important that we communicate that message when we're talking about the brand, why it's important to use that the master brand and not just the mark of excellence.
That's a great point.
Well said, sir.
Hey, Alex, I had a comment.
Yeah, Mary.
I put it in chat, but I realize I'm not an idiot. And if you read it, you'll think I am. If you're talking with Russell Hampton and you've got an idea that you want to use, their people are great. They're quick to tell you whether or not you're using it correctly, or just send them an idea and they'll tell you right away whether or not it's the right way to do it. So they're really good to work with.
They really are. And if I can add on to that, that's my opinion, just a personal opinion. The reason they are that good is because they want to protect their capability to continue to be a licensed vendor, but they're also willing to help you create what you want to create, get it into product, and get it out into the public. And you're right, they're good to go. I agree with that. Thanks for bringing that up, Mary. Appreciate it.
I'm trying to think I think I covered a lot of the topics that I wanted to share with you tonight. So happy to answer more questions.
Liz, I had a question about the lockup and the additional sponsor logos.
Yeah.
Okay. That little line is just one logo there.
Yes,
You
that's a
put
great
one logo there?
question. Yep.
Okay, and suppose we do that, and because we're getting ready to do our event, we got about 25 sponsors. Can we
Yep.
put their logos on one page with that at the top?
Yeah, I think so. We get this question a lot, and It really depends on whether you have like a lead sponsor that you do choose to put in lockup with your club. If that's the situation, then you can do that and then list everybody else's logos separately. Or you could just, if everybody's on equal footing, you can just list your club logo and then everybody else's logos too, you know,
Okay.
sponsored by or partnering with, and then list all the logos out. That also reminds me, sometimes several clubs get together or several districts get together on an initiative. And so depending on how many are involved, you know, you can add 2 or 3 different club names underneath the Rotary logo with your partnership for whatever you're doing in your collaboration. Things sometimes, you know, aren't always that easy, and sometimes it's a lot of different areas and it's hard to identify. That's situations where you can contact me and I can help you find some solutions for how to come up with some branding that makes sense. Great question though, Ed.
Very good question.
Liz, have you gotten, this is Billy, have you gotten any questions about, I know each class of governors has gotten a little more outrageous in what they brand themselves with. And I know Dawn was on here a minute ago, but they were the flamingos, but it was sort of informal and they had fun flamingos everywhere, but they never put a flamingo on a shirt. But as we have watched this evolve, now we're seeing different classes, like in zone 33 and 34, they're putting different logos on their shirts and they're not Rotary at all. And so I just wonder where we stand with that and how can we advise and not throw cold water on them, or maybe it's perfectly okay.
This is tough because I have to approach this from kind of the RI position. And I would say that if you're going to be doing any themes for a year, that it should be the president's theme, right? I know themes are popular throughout districts and even down to the club level. Sometimes they do them, but from RI's point, we're putting our resources behind the president's theme now. To answer your specific question about a flamingo, because that flamingo does not have a Rotary wheel on it, I don't necessarily care, right? So if the district governors think that that is good branding, then they can do it.
Well,
I think that's another question that, you know,
it wasn't it wasn't so much that they told their, that they branded it and we're the flamingo. It was more fun, but I noticed that it's getting more severe with time. So
that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, just for clarification, because this is recorded and I was the one who I'm my co-chair of my class. The flamingo is only for the little fun thing that we have to do as a governor class. And that was done in 2018 and we served in 2020. So there was no Rotary theme other than the one who was Barry Rassens, and it happened to be his national bird. So, but anyway, it was only for hospitality suite purposes, but took on a legend of its own.
Well, I think Billy's comment is that as we move forward, and I know there are members of younger or more recent classes on this call, but I think we've gotten into making patches and things. And again, as long as it's done inside your class and I'm not the police, trust me, I'm a Rotary coach. I'm not the Rotary police.
Yeah.
As long as it's held inside your class and done at the Zone Institute or the Summit, go for it. But I think that the challenge is if you're signing your emails that way, then anything that touches the internet becomes a piece of the internet. And then sometimes it gets away from us. And that's all the public image team is trying to do, is just gently let you know that things could get away from us.
That's a good point.
Sorry to preach.
No, that's a good point. It's and I'm kind of new to that conversation. I hadn't heard of, of course, we see every year usually the pins that our DGs are bringing to IA. And that's kind of an interesting, you know, cultural phenomenon of its own. Ideally, you know, well, I don't know. I'm not going to get into pins right now.
So are there any other questions?
I love it.
Let
This
me
is
help
great.
you out. You can help me out. We'll get out of this conversation. We've been at it for almost an
jump
hour, and I
in.
do very much appreciate. Billy, go ahead.
Joe had something. Jump in,
Oh,
Joe,
just
before we
real
sign off.
quick, Liz, I'd love to say just more of a comment and maybe an inquiry, but
Sure.
I really appreciate all of the video content Rotary's been putting a lot of effort behind. I think that
Great.
those videos are really helping us, especially in our zone. It was very Appalachian-y, I keep saying, but I think we need that, and we really need to save this demographic. So like that content is awesome. I would love to see us get a more formal partnership with Canva, because it seems to be such a utilized piece of technology for us. So even if it was like, hey, use code, you know, Rotary XYZ and get your discounted thing, I would love to see them become a partner with us and maybe have like an embedded brand kit within the Canva thing. So if but I mean, even those videos are so short and usable, you can drop them in a Canva and edit it, put your brand, you know, district, club, whatever logo on the front and back of that.
Yeah, the
And
slate's
now
great.
and you can export to a video, you can do a lot of cool stuff in there. So the usability of all the content you have created for the graphic people has been exceptional. So give kudos wherever it is due. We appreciate
Great.
that. So
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Have you seen the little the cartoon that was created, the game show?
that was interesting. I think that was that was an interesting one. But I mean, there's a hey, the more the merrier. The more the hey, somebody can make use of it. So that was your production, I believe, right? Like
Yeah,
you were
it
the
was.
producer on that.
Yeah, actually, it was. Me and a couple colleagues did. We had to think about fun ways to show.
I think it was perfect. And also the learning center stuff. And she had mentioned that the learning center stuff is like really picked up. So we don't have to rely on other places to learn that stuff. It's centralized in one voice, you know, love it.
So I just want to speak just a hot second about Canva. While I think us as Americans, we can see that clear partnership and how easy that could be, I don't believe Canva is international. And so for us to offer something that's just very, you know, English centric, it could be a challenge, but it's something that we could explore further to see what Canva's reach is. I think we try to think that brand center is your Canva, but some of that is, you know, wishful thinking. Canva's, it's sleek, it's sharp. I use it creating presentations as well too. So I get it, but we'll explore that more as far as the global use.
So I see, I'm going to interrupt you and say that I see Cam with a chat. What software do you use for Rotary newsletters? And I'm going to turn that to not to Liz, but to everybody else on the call, and see if there's an opinions for people that are using it in the districts at the moment. And then Liz can pipe in while y'all talk, while y'all type your answer to Cam. Liz, do you have?
I can't think of what it's called off the
anything
top
you
of my
recommend?
head. Adestra. We use Adestra.
Okay. Thank you for that. And again, if anyone uses something else or has something, there we go. Billy jumping in. Oh, act to be misspelled there, Billy.
Oh, sure.
Well,
that's a Dactyby story is what what Billy's trying to say.
You're muted, Billy.
What makes that so cool is that the clubs make their stories for their newsletters and share it with the district. And we put it in our district newsletter through Dactyby. So it's seamless going up. And it becomes not so much ours as theirs.
Excellent. Any last questions for Liz or for the team or for the entire group?
Looks like
I was just going to check up onto Joe's comments. that Canva is already free for nonprofit groups, and they'll allow you up to 3 users for the professional Canva program, which is free for nonprofits. So we've already got that. But I think, Liz, the thing that we need for Canva, if you could somehow negotiate with them to have a link that when we do go into Canva, we have all of the Rotary templates and resources that are there, the logos, the color palettes and everything. Canva now stores those and we can upload those ourselves, but it's a shame that we all have to do it individually. And if Rotary International could link the Brand Center resources and assets into Canva, I think that would be very useful to everyone.
Thanks for that.
Well, folks, I very much appreciate your time and joining and staying on the call. It's always amazing to hear Liz talk, and we are still recording it, but I'll once again thank you very much, Liz, for joining us and engaging with us. She showed you her email at the Brand Center, and it's here recorded, and we'll post this on our YouTube channel just as soon as it downloads and finishes up. Well, actually, it may take me a day. I'm actually on vacation. I'm looking out at the ocean at the moment, but I will get it posted here real soon for you, and we'll share it. So again, Liz, I can't thank you enough. You're always entertaining and engaging, and I learned something, and I think everybody else did too. So thank you. Thank everybody for joining, and I appreciate it. We'll catch up. If you have any questions for the team, the PI team, send it to us and we'll answer those as well, or directly to Liz, but I have to be a bit of an umbrella and try to protect her just a little bit. So
thanks, Alex. I really appreciate it. This has been my pleasure. I will come back anytime you need me, and even to all of you, if you want presentations because you think you have a great receptive group to this message, I'd be happy to do that as well too. So I'll send that PowerPoint this evening right after the call, so you can share with this group when you send the link out as well too. And yeah, thanks. It's been awesome. Wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Thanks everybody for joining. And again, remember, anytime we can do anything for you on the PI team, just let us know.
All right.
Thanks very much. And good night, folks.
Bye.